Imagine a fully integrated smart house. A pipe bursts under your kitchen sink, and suddenly the Wi-Fi in your living room completely shuts down. That exact domino effect is currently playing out between the United States, Israel, and Iran. Looking at the initial damage, it's natural to wonder if we are witnessing the opening stages of a third world war. Most of us picture World War as it appeared in history books, with columns of tanks and infantry marching directly across national borders. In the modern world, conflict spreads through much subtler channels. This process is globalization by escalation. Trade routes, military alliances, and digital technology act as invisible wiring connecting every nation. Because of this dense wiring, a regional fight sends a power surge through the entire system. The effects strike the whole globe instantly, regardless of whether a world war has been officially declared. To measure the true scale of the current crisis, we have to trace exactly where those invisible wires lead. Over 20 different countries are already militarily involved in the fallout of the Iran war. Neighboring states like Jordan and the Gulf nations are being forced to react as stray drones and missiles cross their airspace and threaten their infrastructure. Those wires reach much further than the immediate borders. The war in Ukraine is now directly tied to the escalating conflict in the Middle East. This exchange involves a specific technology swap. Russia is reportedly handing targeting intelligence to Iran, while Ukraine is supplying the US and Gulf states with tactics on how to cheaply shoot down those same Iranian-made drones. This spillover has pushed European powers like the UK, France, and Germany to deploy warships to the eastern Mediterranean as a defensive measure. These military mobilizations prove that regional boundaries have become an illusion. A strike in one hemisphere triggers a response thousands of miles away in hours. Shifting the perspective from military hardware to the supply chain reveals a different kind of risk. In our modern economy, these connections function like a massive highway pileup. The Strait of Hormuz is the ultimate bottleneck. It serves as the primary exit for a massive share of the world's oil and gas. A physical attack isn't even required to cause damage. The mere threat of violence in this narrow passage creates a global traffic jam that freezes energy markets. Maritime insurance rates climb, shipping fleets come to a halt, and global supply chains freeze. For the everyday viewer, this distant bottleneck translates to sudden, sharp spikes in fuel and grocery prices across the US and Europe. In this environment, a distant military skirmish functions as an immediate tax on your daily life. With all these crossed wires and economic disruptions, it is worth asking why this hasn't already triggered a formal, all-out world war. The primary check on the system is nuclear deterrence. It acts as a reinforced ceiling on how far any nation is willing to escalate. Because a direct collision between major powers would be catastrophic for everyone, these countries choose to fight indirectly, often using smaller groups to project power. Furthermore, recent history in Iraq and Ukraine has shown that protracted direct invasions are incredibly expensive and rarely deliver the political goals leaders expect. World leaders are actively dodging the traditional triggers of a global war. Instead, the world is settling into a pattern of continuous chain reaction conflicts. This leaves us with two vital questions. How are countries scrambling to reroute their supply chains right now? And how do rival leaders communicate to prevent an accidental drone strike from triggering a nuclear response? We may never hear an official declaration of a world war on the news, but because our world is so tightly wired together, we will continue to feel the shockwaves of every regional fight.